Lesson 9-5, Day 1, Solving Quadratic Equations by Using the Quadratic Formula. Essential question, what does the discriminant tell you? So in this lesson, we are going to take our quadratic equations and determine how many solutions they will have based off of the discriminant. So the discriminant tells you how many solutions your quadratic equation has. And our possibilities are going to be 1, none, or 2, and we're going to write that down on the next slide. The other thing we need for this lesson is called the quadratic formula. This is a big formula that you can use to find the solutions to a quadratic equation. In lesson 9-4, we learned how to find the solutions through completing the square. And then in lesson 5, we're going to find another method for finding the solutions, which is called the quadratic formula. All right, we've got a big chart you're going to need to copy down in your notes for this first slide. So if you are watching the video, you're going to want to pause this after I'm done talking about it. But this chart says how many solutions or roots can a quadratic equation have. So if you look back here, we wrote down the equation b squared minus 4ac. That is also found in your quadratic formula right here. So if we use the equation b squared minus 4ac and we get an answer greater than 0, that means there are 2 solutions to our quadratic formula, meaning our parabola crosses the x-axis twice. If we do the formula b squared minus 4ac and we get an answer of 0, that means our quadratic has 1 solution, meaning it touches the x-axis once. If we do the equation b squared minus 4ac and we get an answer smaller than 0, that means our parabola has no solution, so it does not intersect with the x-axis. So it does not cross the x-axis, so no solutions. All right, state the value of the discriminant, then determine the number of real solutions or roots. Okay, so we are going to use this formula b squared minus 4ac. If you look over here, we've got our a value of 3, our b value of 10, and our c value is on the wrong side. We need it to be equal to 0, so I'm going to subtract 12 on both sides. And then I can label. So a is 3, b is 10, c is negative 12. So now we're going to plug that into our formula. So b squared would be 10 squared, because 10 is b, minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is negative 12. If I do that math, I'll do 10 squared, which is 100. And then I'm going to do negative 4 times 3, which will give me negative 12, and then I'm going to multiply that by negative 12, and I'm going to get 144. 100 plus 144 is 244. So now that is the value of our discriminant. So that is the first part of this problem. So the discriminant is 244. And then I'm going to go back to my table, and and the number 244 is greater than 0, so since 244 is greater than 0, that means there are 2 solutions or roots. So really there are 2 parts to your answer here. The first part to your answer is the discriminant, so that 244. And then this would have 2 solutions. Now we're not actually finding out what the solutions are in this first part of the lesson. We're just saying how many there would be. So there would be 2. All right, let's try that again. So our discriminant equation is b squared minus 4ac. This time our equation is ready to go. It's already equal to 0, so a is 5. B is 2, C is 1. So B squared would be 2 squared minus 4 times A, which is 5, times C, which is 1. So 4, and then negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. Negative 20 times 1 is negative 20. So 4 minus 20 is negative 16. So that right there is my discriminant. And then since negative 16 is less than 0, I go back here, negative 16 right here is less than 0, that means that there are no solutions. So 2 parts to our answer here. The discriminant is negative 16. And that means there are no solutions for this quadratic equation for this parabola. All right, this third equation is also equal to 0. So I can go ahead and label right away A, B, C. B squared minus 4AC. So B squared is negative 30 squared. Make sure you have that in parentheses. Minus 4 times A times C. So negative 30 squared is 900. Negative 4 times 9 is negative 36. Negative 36 times 25 is negative 900. So 900 minus 900 is 0. So that is the value of my discriminant. If your discriminant 0 equals 0, if your discriminant equals 0, there is 1 solution. So your 2 answers this time are the discriminant is 0, which therefore would be a parabola with 1 solution. We are not going to determine what that solution is, but we know there is 1 solution. Okay, now we are going to try just 1 problem in this lesson of solving using the quadratic formula. That is really what 9-5 day 2 is, but I want to expose it to you to it in day 1, just so that you can kind of start using the formula and getting familiar with it. So you'll notice I've got it up in the corner there. So you're going to go x equals, label your A, your B, and your C. So So the quadratic formula is negative b, so minus a negative 5, plus and minus the square root of b squared, so negative 5 squared, minus 4, a is 1, c is negative 7, all over 2 times a. So then we're going to start simplifying that equation. So minus a negative 5 means a positive 5 plus and minus the square root. Negative 5 squared is 25. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 7 is 28. So I'm going to put plus 28 over 2 times 1, which is 2. Then I can simplify that square root. So I have 5 plus and minus the square root. 25 plus 28 is 53 divided by 2. Now here is how you get your solutions. Now notice here that we have a 53 as our discriminant. Remember, b squared minus 4ac is what is underneath your square root. So this 53 means that we are going to have 2 solutions. Here is how you find those 2 solutions. You're going to write x equals twice. For the first equation, you're going to do 5 and then plus, and then the square root of 53. And then you're going to divide that by 2. Now, one helpful hint for when you're putting this in your calculator, do 5 plus the square root of 53, it equals, and then divide by 2. So 5 plus the square root of 53 equals, and then divide by 2. So 6.1. And I would enter it in that way because your decimal can change quite a bit if you round the square root of 53. So just leave it as the long decimal and then don't round till the very end. Now we're going to get our second solution by doing 5 minus the square root of 53 divided by 2. So 5 minus the square root of 53, it equals, divided by 2, is negative 1.1. So those are your 2 solutions to your quadratic equation. Those are the roots or the solutions. That is where your parabola would intersect with the x-axis. Summary.